Hello and welcome to the Brother Sister Show, a show where us siblings keep in touch by watching the same movies and talking about them. That's about it, right?
Yeah, my name is Anthony.
My name is Livia. This is episode 37. And it's on a special day. This is not coming out on our year anniversary, but we're recording on July 25th, which is our 1 year anniversary of this podcast. How do you feel?
I will say the quality has gotten a lot better. I listened to the first episode because we used to do our intros like "Hello, brother," "Hello, sister," which is super, super cringe, but it was kind of funny at the time.
That wasn't that bad. That's why I think the name was my idea, and that's why, because that's a running gag in one of our favorite shows. So I decided, why not? Why not use that? I mean, now I feel like I've always been wanting to script. I've talked about this before. I've always been wanting to script what we say at the beginning, but I think the cringiness of us starting the podcast is it's authentic, so I want to keep it that way, you know?
Yeah, I like the authenticity of it.
The fact that we never know how to start this damn thing, ever.
Never. This episode, we're going to be talking about Creep 2, which on our second episode, which is 2 weeks after July 25th, whatever that was in 2019. I guess it's the same, right? Just 14 days after, whatever.
Did you listen to it?
I didn't want to listen. I don't like listening to my voice. So
okay.
I listened to the episode at 2 times speed.
How was it? Is it like so different than what we do now?
We definitely don't do as much catching up. Like, we didn't do as much.
We didn't do as much?
No. We did not.
Oh, okay.
I think that episode we spent a good chunk of time talking about Cats because the trailer had just came out.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Cats. I always forget that movie exists.
The trailer came out and we were talking about that, and that's when we like made the joke that they use the same like CGI or lack of it from Cat in the Hat.
Classic.
Yeah. Other than that, I mean, we were still trying to figure out how we were going to structure this podcast, so we talked about switching the theme every 3 movies to get us to switch the themes. Yeah.
So complicated. I don't know why I try to make it so complicated.
I don't know why I let it happen too, because in the episode, you ask me, is that too complicated? Like, if this is too complicated, you can cut it. And I'm like, nah, it'll be fine. It's just 3 movies. Now it's just like whatever we want, we pick.
Well, because maybe we can do this instead of catching up, because I don't really have anything that I've watched kind of reflect on our year, but I think I just really 2019 me was so immature. No, I'm kidding. I really wanted to set us apart somehow, because I was just so like, I think back then I just was so into the marketability of what we're doing, rather than making decisions based on that, rather than making decisions based on like what is the best thing for me and you, like our dynamic, what we like to do. I just didn't really fall into that, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So
I was like, I think I just wanted to do that. I wanted to make it more of a movie club, but like, who cares? I don't know. It's now I think we have settled more into making this show at like not adhere, but making it more of what we love to do. Like, I know you like I'm assuming you like the technical aspect, and the fact that it's a little bit more of a better quality is something that you were passionate about and that you are really excited about. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but
oh no, I'm super excited. I mean, right now to get because I've been spending more time editing, and I want to change so much. One thing I noticed is, well, because of this new mic from our producer Kayla, there's like you can modify the gain, and on our old one there's just you just plug and play, and Skype would have picked up nothing. Would have corrected all the mistakes. So right now I'm in a closet, a very, very small closet, and I think it'll come out a lot better. And I almost don't want to point it out because if someone notices it, they're gonna just hate us. Don't point it out. Okay.
But yeah, there's like a lot of learning to be had, is what we'll say. There's a lot of things that because of the Skype, because now we've improved from Skype, there's a lot of things that me and you notice. I don't want you to point it out because I don't think a lot of other people notice, but I think it'll be fine. We'll figure it out. There's a lot of things like that we can do to make it better. But anyways, that's what I mean. Like, I feel like you've always been passionate about that, but I think I just tried for me and you to be more into the like actual content. And it just makes more sense for me to do all the research and to take all the notes because that's what I like. I like to talk a lot, and to make you try to do all of that too just doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. I've noticed that I really like our like banter, like getting into like last episode we talked a lot about moving.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, just to give. I know everyone listening to this knows us personally, but if it does reach a wider audience, it gives a good glimpse into who we are as people, and I hope that resonates.
And it also, because I think the thing that does, going back to the marketability, I guess, the thing that does set us apart, and I'm sure there's a lot of siblings that do stuff like this, but the fact that we are siblings, and going to the main idea that we started with, is that we live in different cities, and we're just trying to catch up. Like, we're trying to like keep the same. Well, that's why we watch the same movies. People always give that advice now, especially during quarantine, to like watch a show or watch a movie with your friends. And so I feel like us having the like catching up part, or like you said, the banter, is the thing that I guess sets us apart. I don't know. Just I think hopefully people find it interesting, the like sibling aspect, because we talk like in the middle, or not in the middle, but like between recordings we'll talk, but for the most part I don't really get an update, and I don't think I ever would have actually, like, if say this podcast didn't exist, I don't think I ever would have known some of the things that I know now, like the whole moving thing. I would have never like asked you how your moving was going, which is kind of, I guess, kind of sad, but like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel the same way, and if I explain this to someone, they're gonna think I'm a bad brother, but we're getting better. I'm getting better.
And that's the thing about being in this. I thought of this phrase the other day, and I knew you were gonna hate it, and I know you're gonna hate it when you hear it. But the idea of being long distance siblings.
Oh my.
But that is what it is. Like being, and I think people can relate to that, like being long, especially now, being long distance family members or a long distance friend. It's really hard to keep, because you have so many things going on. I mean, we're in the middle of a fucking pandemic. There's so many things to worry about. Like, me and you are moving, so we have like, at least I feel the stress of it. There's like so much stress going on with that. We're just especially because of the time in our lives we're at right now, it's so hard to set that time aside to catch up. And the fact that we have this has bred that. And I feel like, because I think the next question that people have on their minds is like, well, you have other siblings. It's not just you and Anthony. But I think making this has kind of bred just another thing for a family to talk about, or just hopefully they feel updated. I don't know. Like, I feel like especially, it just like is a whole bunch of things, like especially quarantine too. I just we have a lot of like video family chats now, and I don't know, it's like a thread. This podcast is just one of the threads that kind of weave through our family and keep us all connected.
Yeah, I definitely feel the same way. And it's cool because I know our parents listen to it. Sometimes they listen to it together, or this podcast, and I feel like we've grown a lot, at least in their eyes, because Dad, I was working and he came up to me and he was like listening to The Social Network and he was like, "This is a lot better. Like this podcast made me want to watch Social Network." And then like as soon as he finished, they were watching it. Mom and Dad were watching it. So,
and honestly,
I feel like we're getting better.
Yeah, and that's the biggest compliment I could ever hear is if people, because that's one thing I was scared of at the beginning, that nobody would watch the movies that we would want to, because we're not picking movies that are new, right? We're picking, most of them we pick are ones that have already been on Netflix for a long time, or some they're like just super old movies. So the fact that I know it's our dad, but still, like, I know him and I know it's hard to get him to watch anything. And so to hear that somebody liked the way that we described a movie, that we talked about it so much that they wanted to watch it, is truly the goal of this of this movie, of this podcast. So that's nice to hear.
Yeah, I was surprised.
And the whole community thing too. Like I was gonna promote this, but it'll be over by now, so maybe we'll talk about it next time. But we're having our movie night tonight, and I'm super excited.
It'll be a lot of fun.
We have like a cute small little community in our Discord, and I hope people will join and people will see. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out a way to promote it, because I do want people. I think right now it's mostly people that like me or you know in some capacity. So I do want people that I don't know to join, but it'll take time.
Definitely. I mean, it took us a year to get better mics, so.
So what do you think will look like? Granted, everything is fine in the world. What do you think the podcast will look like July 25th, 2021?
Oh, a year from now?
Do you think it'll still be here?
I think so.
I think so too.
I have fun doing this. This is like, I don't know. I don't really like, I guess I probably should. I feel like by then I will promote this podcast more than I do now. Because every time if it comes up, I'll like, oh yeah, someone asked me to hang out or to like play games, and I was like, oh, I can't. I'm editing something, and they're like, do I want to ask what you're editing? And I was like, yeah, I'm just editing my podcast. And they were like, what? How have I known you for this long, and I didn't even know you had a podcast? And I was just like, I just feel weird promoting it now, but I feel like hopefully then be like, hey, I have a podcast. I just, it's weird for me to cross that bridge with someone.
Also, literally everybody has a podcast, so I feel like it's not that.
Yeah, I don't want to be that guy. I have a podcast.
But I think part of it too, because I used to feel that way. I'm a little bit more. I'll like tell people, especially a big thing is to tell people like at work. That's like something that, I don't know, it just feels weird, but I think maybe it just, we weren't, because not to say we're ashamed of like our old episodes. I do like them a lot, but I think we were kind of hesitant to tell people or to promote it because we weren't 100% happy with it. But I think I'm confident in saying like there's still places for us to grow, but how we do it now, I think starting with maybe, I think I've told you, but her Social Network is my first episode. I like the Hereditary one, but I think the Social Network one is where I was like, this is exactly what I've been wanting us to do. And so I think now it's a little bit easier to tell people, because I'm like, if I don't know if people listen to the first episode, but usually when I listen to a podcast, I'll go to like one of their newest ones. And so I feel more confident telling people because I know that they'll probably go to one that they recognize or go to the social network or the most recent ones. And our most recent episodes I'm super proud of. So that makes it a little bit easier to tell people, but yeah.
It's been fun. A good year.
And I think next year will get better. Hopefully we can still do, I think we'll still be able to do one every week.
Yeah, I'm changing the way I'm editing. Like I told you, I'm gonna start doing it like incrementally. So like after this, I'm gonna edit probably just this part and
we
do
have
the ad.
cut it into like 3 parts.
Yeah. So that's nice.
Okay.
And I'm feeling less confident in the quality because I've made some mistakes and I've had to recorrect some things or just correct things. So I definitely spend more time now, but I feel like once I get a little bit more comfortable, I'll trust that we don't make the mistakes that we have been. But we'll get there. It's been fun. I like with my new machine.
Oh God.
It's
that
been
Henry
smooth.
Cavill made himself.
Probably. I mean, there's no way to know.
Not one shirt on or in the vicinity of the room that he was making it. Why did he have to? Because he had like no shirt on, right? What was the point of that?
No, he had a shirt.
I thought he didn't have one on. The pictures I saw, he was shirtless.
Really?
I think so.
Weird.
Maybe I'm making it up. Maybe I just see him in my mind. In my mind's eye, I just see him like naked the whole time.
I think he was wearing like a tank top.
Oh, maybe that's what it was. It was just revealing. Well, I'm trying to think. I should have thought of questions to ask about our 1 year. I honestly forgot.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Is there a movie that we haven't done that you've been wanting to do other than Interstellar? But
I mean, Interstellar is the obvious.
I don't know if you'll like how I do it though, because I'm the one who does. Well, I would do it justice. I wouldn't like fuck you over, but
I already know so much. I feel like I would add so much. I've been really because in my internship, it's been like the last like dev sprint, and I've been really listening to a lot of Interstellar and Hans Zimmer just in general. I'll just put that on and I'll just work. I can't speak enough on how good that soundtrack is, how good the score is, how everything is. A movie that I really want to do, I feel like we haven't gotten around to Zombieland, but I don't think that's on anything.
Oh, you really want to do Zombieland?
Zombieland's a good one. I'm trying to think of other stuff that isn't on streaming platforms because we're kind of limited in that way.
You know what we haven't done? Have we done Paranormal Activity?
No, we haven't.
How have we not?
We talked about it on our like 2010s and the best of.
Has it? Is it even on? I think it just got on Netflix. Is that why we haven't done it?
Maybe.
Strange.
We did Fantastic Mr. Fox. Another funny one is Land of the Lost with Will Ferrell.
Oh God.
That one's. I mean, there's like Cars, all like the classics.
You know what movie I was like? I was looking for a movie right now for next episode, and I was going through Prime because I don't think we picked a Prime movie in a while. And I'm not going to pick it next time, but I almost wanted to do Midsummer, but God, that would take so long. It would be a long episode because it's
we saw
such
that
a
movie
like
5 times when it first came out.
Maybe we'll see. That's one that I feel like I would want somebody else on the podcast too.
Like someone specific or just someone in general?
Just somebody. I do want to do, I guess, like if we were talking about wish lists for episodes, I do want to do an episode where we pick a movie, say we pick like Paranormal Activity or something, and we have somebody on that doesn't like it. And, you know, like, or just, I just want to have a movie that maybe me and you like and somebody else just doesn't like it at all.
I know someone who doesn't like Moonlight.
Oh, interesting. We've already done Moonlight, though.
I'm just.
But I think mostly for scary movies, or mostly for movies that I know there's people out there that don't like it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Have we done The Witch? We've done The Witch, right?
God, yeah, The Witch was right after Creep. That's the one I picked.
Got it. Well, oop.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
This is the first time I've ever received a call during the podcast.
Why do you have your ringer on, you psycho? Have it on vibrate like a normal person.
It's on my laptop.
Oh, okay. Who's calling you?
It's Kayla, my producer. Our producer.
Should she have the ad read?
Wait, should we take a call?
Yeah, answer it.
Let me call her back. She hung up. She might know. Hey, you're on air. Say some words.
Can she hear me?
No, she can't hear you.
You in your closet?
Yeah, I'm in the closet. Well, hello, producer.
Oh, I didn't know you were recording.
Yeah, sorry. I normally tell you.
No, it's okay. Okay, I'll leave you to it.
Do you have any words?
Hi.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
I love the first thing. Why are you in your closet?
She acts like I haven't answered every single phone call in a closet.
She's like, what closet are you in today?
I might keep that in. I don't know. What do you think?
Her call?
Yeah.
I mean, it's up to you.
That's kind of funny. Legitimately, I've never received a call.
I know. I believe you.
It took us a year.
There you go.
Yeah, I gotta leave that in. You hung up on Dad, right?
Well, yeah, I get many calls, but you don't hear it because I have my phone on vibrate.
Okay, but it was on my laptop because I have a MacBook. You can't
silence that? Oh, God.
Probably.
Well, I have another question. I think we've moved on from the movie thing. If you could have any guest on our podcast, anybody, who would it be?
Wow. David. I'm just playing.
Somebody we haven't had on.
I'm just playing. David would be awesome again. Probably like Oscar Isaac. He'd be really fun.
Oh, interesting. I would have never guessed that. Somebody big for the, like, you don't, not anybody that you want to ask questions to.
I'd want to ask him questions. Like, how's it doing? How's it going?
Oh, God.
Tell me about it. I mean, there's so many. Hans Zimmer, definitely. I want to ask about his process. About how he just attacks a project. Wes Anderson, I feel like would be a good one. Wow. This is a good one. Do you have any in mind? Any others?
I think people I just like want to pick their brain. Like, I think I do now, watching The Old Guard, I do want to talk to the director, Gina Prince Bythewood, because she also did another movie I really loved called Beyond the Lights, which I almost picked for next time, but maybe another time. But I would love to talk to her. Aaron Sorkin would be interesting because I feel like sometimes we talk at the same speed, so I feel like you would just be really confused.
Oh yeah.
And Barry Jenkins.
Ooh.
I think just people that I've seen interviews with that are just so passionate about what they do and are not withholding in their knowledge. Like, I think that they would be really, I think they would give a lot of insights. Kind of, actually, speaking about Creep 2, I also would love to talk to Mark Duplass.
I'd be scared.
Oh, God, but he has so much knowledge and he's so passionate. Like, these people, I think just independent filmmakers in general, they have so much passion for what they do, and they have so much passion for sharing it with people, that they would just, I think any question that we would ask them, they would just have like so many amazing answers with so many good tidbits. And yeah, and especially when I watch movies, like, because of I think that I specifically picked the 3 people that we've watched their movies on the podcast, because I have, now that I do deep dives, I just have so many questions about how they do things, how they decide, like how the fact that they made this movie, we'll talk about it later, but the fact that they made this movie with no script is insane to me. To have just an outline and to just sit there and be like, yeah, just talk. That's insane to me. And I need to know like why they would do that and how they do it. And I just have so many questions. But honestly, anybody that is a filmmaker, I think I would just love to have on, because I have a lot of questions and have a lot of interest in the field. Or even podcasters, like other people that have podcasts that are passionate about movies. I think that would be interesting too. Yeah.
I'd love to have Shia LaBeouf on.
Oh my God.
He'd be fun.
Yeah.
He'd be real fun.
Because that's another thing too, is every interview I listen with him, he's so passionate about the art of making a movie or of acting or of telling a story, that he would just be so interesting to just pick his brain. And these people that I've listed are also people that are just good, like, to interview. They're good in interviews. I don't know if I'm an amazing interviewer, but I think they would make it easy, if that makes sense.
I wouldn't even know what to ask. That's why it's hard, because I just, how was your day?
Yeah, it's a little bit easier with the people we have interviewed because we are familiar with them. But I think it'd be interesting. I'm excited for the day that we have somebody on that neither of us know.
What's your comfort movie?
How do you think you would just leave it to me? Like, do you think you would just not ask anything?
It depends on who it was. I wouldn't want to waste their time. I don't know.
Well, we'll see. Maybe one day. Get our producer on it, Kayla. What is she doing? Calling you? Doing what? Watching TikToks?
What the heck? Do little TikToks.
Get on that, Kayla. Book our next guest. I love that we gave her this title that she probably didn't even want.
Yeah.
All right. Well, do you have any other thoughts about our year? Do you want to move on to the break? Do you have any movie news? I actually have a couple of movie news things.
I only watched one thing in between this episode and the last one. I don't really have anything else to say as far as our 1 year.
What did you watch? I also watched one thing.
It's kind of weird. I don't know why I watched it. I just been going through Hulu and like, what's new on here that I could watch? I watched Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates.
Oh my God.
It was all right. I mean, I guess it's based on a true story, or it said that's what it said. It said based on a true story, kind of. So it's not. Why are you lying?
Did they need wedding guests or wedding dates? Was that what it's called?
Yeah, Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates.
Did they
wedding
get them?
Yeah. It was all a happy ending.
It was
kind of funny.
Do you know what I watched?
No.
I watched The Kissing Booth 2.
There's a second one?
Yes. So I'm a little sad that, because we did a poll to watch either Tall Girl or The Kissing Booth, and it was tied. So that's when I texted Homer to break the tie, because I was gonna have you break it, but I was like, no, let's have somebody that is not interested at all in what we do or what those movies are. And you picked Tall Girl, but I'm kind of upset now because the first one is a mess, but the second one, oh my God, it's a disaster. Have you seen Tall Girl, by the way? I don't think I asked you.
I haven't seen either of those.
Oh, amazing. Well, if we continue, I'm assuming we're going to continue to do it, but The Kissing Booth 2 has to be, I have to, even if we don't do it during Discord, I need to watch it with you. I need to watch both with you because they're a fucking mess.
I mean, we could still do it on the Discord. I
Yeah, we'll
think
see.
the streaming thing is cool. I've been, I mean, you've popped in. I think you're pretty much the only person.
Yeah.
But I've been playing Halo, getting ready for 5 or not 5. I'm so sorry, for Halo Infinite coming out in the fall, and I just want to go through all of them. So I started with the CE. Yeah,
And
if you
you're
guys
not good at it.
No, I'm not used to. I haven't played Halo in a long time, but
I think I haven't played Halo or seen anybody play Halo since we lived in Alaska.
yeah, it's a very. When I think of CE, the first Halo, it's very Alaskan vibes.
Yeah.
The vibes.
All right. Okay. A couple of movie news things. First things first. Tenet
Oh,
delayed indefinitely. Of fucking course. Like, are they kidding?
I don't.
And I saw another thing that he said it was, or I don't know if it was him or if it was the studio, but they said that it was going to be released. It might have a limited theatrical release in the UK, which, I mean, good luck, I guess.
He being Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, I don't know if it's actually Christopher Nolan or if it's the studio that's making these decisions. I'm assuming it's him, but who knows? But I just don't understand. And like, especially because it felt like this past week there was so many movies that were moved back to next year or to 2022. And it just is so dumb to me that they would wait till this long.
What are the Oscars going to be like?
I don't know. There's been conversations about how, because I think the first one is the Emmys and it's coming up pretty soon. And I think there's conversations about like actually having a host and actually doing something. Part of me, I think how I feel about this whole thing is I feel like we should just get through this year. Like, I don't know why people are trying to have awards right now. You know, it doesn't make much sense to me. Or just like put in a press release. You know, why is there such a need to have these things going on, you know? It doesn't feel necessary. I feel like everybody is just trying to survive this year. And after this year's over, I feel like we just collectively need to like all understand that nobody wants to talk about it. I don't want to talk about 2020. I don't want to, because that's the thing I think that's annoying me is that if we have an Emmys or an Oscars that's completely online or streaming, everybody's gonna be like, do you remember that one year? I'm gonna be like, no, shut the fuck up. I don't want to talk about 2020. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like if we, like, I keep seeing these things where like Worst Fest was canceled and it was the first time in 60 years. And part of me literally thought, well, I think 2020 doesn't count, so you don't have to say that. Like, this year just doesn't count to me, but I don't know.
Man, it's so wild to think like you were going to South by.
I know. And I think that's the thing that annoys me too, is that, and everybody makes this a meme, the fact that at the beginning of this year, everybody was like, 2020 is going to be amazing. And it was like for a bunch of people, and for me, it was going to be an amazing year. And like, it sounds dumb to complain. I don't want to complain about not going to South by when people are dying, you know, but there are little bits of mourning that we have to do throughout this year. So yeah, it is very wild. And it feels like it happened like an entire year ago, and it was a couple of months ago. Isn't that strange?
I was on campus when you called and said that, and like we talked about you not going to South by.
Yeah.
It feels so weird.
And that day, I think I called in. I was like sick, and I don't know if I went to work. I don't know. That just whole week was weird. And even this past week, I went to go pick up stuff like my monitor and stuff from my office, and they obviously had it had it limited to where we could, to how many people could go. And my friend and I just happened to go at the same time. And I realized that was the first time I'd seen her since the fateful March 13th date when everybody was just like, yeah, don't go back to work. That was the first time I'd seen her since then. And it feels so strange. But yeah.
4 months?
Yeah. And it doesn't feel that way because I talk to her every day, like, during, like, through Slack on work or what have, like, I'll see her on Zoom and stuff, but it was the first time I'd seen her in person. And I sat next to her in our office. So it was just so strange. This year is just insane to me. It's such a weird fucking year. Parasite won an Oscar this year. That happened this year.
Wow.
Oh, all right. Well, the next one, it's not like wild movie news, but it does have to do with the director of Creep. And he is actually, I think he's directing, I think it's a movie for HBO Max based on a book called The Wild. He'll direct and adapt it.
What's the book? Have you read the book or?
No, but I can give you a little synopsis. So like I said, it's called The Wild, and it centers around Dawn. She's not a bad person. She's just made some bad choices. Wrong guy, wrong friends, wrong everything. But she wasn't expecting her parents to pay a boatload of money to ship her off to Out of the Wild, a wilderness boot camp with a bunch of other messed up kids to learn important life lessons. Dawn and the other cubs wind up learning a lot, but not what they expect. For what happens in the woods isn't what their parents planned. Sometimes plans go very wrong, and this is one of those times. Suddenly, Dawn is the most scared she's ever been in her life. Boom.
Wow. Is this on HBO? Or is it going to be on HBO Max?
HBO Max, yeah.
Oh.
Let's see. Yeah, there's not really any more, like, information on it. I think he's the first person attached to it, so something to keep up with if you're interested in casting. It was on Deadline. I don't know if you follow Deadline Hollywood, but that's where I see a lot of, like, that's where they announce a lot of casting news and whatnot.
Yeah, I haven't really been on socials in a while, but cool.
All right, anything on your end? Are you ready to get to the break?
Yeah, let's cut to it.
All right, we'll be right back after this.
This episode is brought to you by you guys. I know we thanked you guys for it being our 1 year, this being episode 37, but I just want to take some time to really say thank you for everything. I mean, it's been a fun year. And to celebrate, we have some Twitter drafts that we want to go through. I really like that, so my only Twitter draft is, I don't know, it's not directed towards someone, it's just, here's the tweet, ready?
Yeah.
You look like you put cream, oh wait, I messed it up.
God.
What is it? Okay. Yes. Okay. You look like you put cream cheese on the outside of a bagel. That's the tweet.
What does that even mean? Like you're dumb?
Yes. That's an insult you can use. Like, you look like you put cream cheese on the outside of a bagel. Because that's not where it belongs. Maybe it's better. Yeah. Maybe it's better if I just tweet a picture of cream cheese on the outside of a bagel.
That's a little bit funnier because I also don't know what that means. Like on the other side of it?
The rounded side, yeah.
Okay. All right. I would like to see a picture of it or a video. Okay. That's the only one?
That's the only one.
All right, I have two. Why is ice cream from an ice cream truck always chewy? And my last one is, when the delivery guy texts me, "See you soon," that's when I feel the regret.
Those are related. Those you can do in the same thread.
Well, it's not the ice cream man. Well, does he a delivery man as well?
Definitely.
I guess. Yeah. There you go. Food related. Anybody surprised? Not me.
Well, there's a little something for you guys. Thank you again for 1 year.
Let us know your Twitter drafts. Join our Discord and send us a screenshot. We'd love to see them.
Yeah.
A video artist looking for work drives to a remote house in the forest to meet a man claiming to be a serial killer. But after agreeing to spend the day with him, she soon realizes that she made a deadly mistake in Creep 2. Directed by Patrick Brice, written by Patrick Brice and Mark Duplass. Principal cast is Karen Sony, Mark Duplass, and Desiree Akavan. I don't have any budget or opening weekend or whatever. It just wasn't available to me. But critics gave it a 6.4 out of 10 on IMDb, a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, and a 72% on Metacritic.
Whoa.
Yeah, all the way across the board. All right. So just to give, I mean, if you want, we did do an episode on the first movie like we talked about. So you can go back to all the way to episode 2, right?
Yeah, episode 2.
But just to give a little background, the first movie came out in 2014, so three years before this sequel, which came out 2017. The first movie was about a young videographer that answers an online ad for a one-day job in a remote town to record the last messages of a dying man. Then shit gets real weird real fast, and the videographer is murdered by said strange man. So that's just...
I think it's a good context to give. The murderer's name was Joseph.
Yes.
And the videographer in the first one's name was Aaron.
All right. First thing I loved about this movie, it's a tight hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, very, very. I was kind of scared because I watched it like about an hour and 20 minutes ago.
Did you really? I thought you were going to watch it last night.
Yeah, I couldn't.
Oh, my God. All right. Too busy watching. What'd you watch?
Mike and Dave Need Wedding Guests.
Is that what you watched last night instead?
No. I watched that like during the week sometime.
Okay. All right. So I want to go. I don't think I've talked about found footage films a little bit, but I did want to go into a little deep dive, my first deep dive of the episode about found footage as a film technique. So found footage is a film subgenre in which all or substantial part of the work is presented as if it were discovered through film or video recordings. The events on screen are typically seen through the camera of one or more characters involved, often accompanied by their real-time off-camera commentary. For added realism, the cinematography may be done by the actors themselves as they perform, and shaky camera work and naturalistic acting are routinely employed. The footage may be presented as if it were raw or complete as if it had been edited into a narrative by those who found it. The first film that was made completely in this style, I think allegedly, because I found a few, but this is the first one that I think was made completely with this technique, was the 1980 cult horror feature Cannibal Holocaust. Have you heard of this movie?
Never before.
I've heard of it, and I've never seen it, but it sounds wild. If you're interested in a synopsis, I suggest you look it up. The device was then popularized by the Blair Witch Project, which came out in 1999. Found footage has since been used in other commercially successful films, including Paranormal Activity, which we've talked about, Record, but it's REC in all caps, Cloverfield, and Chronicle. While reviewing another movie with this technique called VHS for the AV Club, Scott Tobias notes that the genre, quote, has since become to the 2000s and 2010s what slasher movies were to the 80s.
That's a good point. I never thought of it like that, but yeah.
I always knew, because honestly, this is probably why, because I did grow up in the 2010s, but found footage is my favorite type of horror film. And I always thought that people kind of looked down on it, but I think it's kind of like they said, what slasher movies are to the 80s. I might have to ask people that were like younger in that era, but slasher movies kind of have a reputation of kind of being less than, as a horror genre. And I think found footage is kind of too, because there's a lot of bad ones, but there's a lot of really, really, really good ones. But
yeah, there's a lot of unique things you can do with that, like, found footage. And I think, like, Blair Witch, like you said, it revamped that whole genre.
And that movie's interesting too, because that one went a step above a lot of the rest of them, and it pretended like it was real. I don't know if you know this, but when it first came out, I don't think they actively made it seem like it was real, but they never marketed it. They never, like, the actors in it didn't really go out and do, talk shows. Like, it was released as if it was actually found footage.
I think that's what makes it scary, at least for me, is like it's real, and I think that's why I like Paranormal Activity, is because it took that to kind of another level where it's inside your home, where you should feel safe.
Yeah.
Where you have these cameras, but they're only capturing what's happening. They're not helping you. They're not protecting you.
And at least with the Blair Witch Project, it was... Have you seen it before?
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's not... The cameras themselves are not great quality. It's kind of as if me and you went out and made one with our phones, It just feels so real. And I actually have a funny... I was talking to my friend Avital about Blair Witch specifically, and she said that one of... hopefully I get this right, but she said one of her friends... I think there was, like, whenever it came out, I think this guy, one of her friend's dad, was, like, talking to this guy about it, and he was like, "Oh, have you seen that Blair Witch movie? It's really scary and it's real." And the guy was like, "Oh no, my kid knows, or my kid is somebody that was involved with it, and it's not, like, they made it look like it was, but it's not real." And then the guy that he was talking to was like, "Well, you're just a part of the conspiracy." Like, he would truly believed that it was real, and he thought that guy was lying and was a part of the conspiracy. So that is also another scary part of it, is that some people actually think it's real.
It just speaks to the quality.
So good. But I do wonder, because that critic brought in the whole, like, decade aspect of it. So what do you think the next trend will be? Or do you think we're in one currently?
Oh, because you always bring, like, deep questions that my brain is so dumb.
Well, I have some of my examples, so I'll, like, give you a little bit of time. But I'm wondering if, and maybe better horror film fanatics will, like, correct me, but I'm wondering if the whole, like, allegory aspect of a horror film is starting to be pushed a little bit more with movies like Relic that just came out, or Hereditary, or even Get Out, that tell larger stories other than the ones that are, like, the scary ones they're telling, that have a bigger message. I wonder if those are the ones that are starting to be more popularized.
I could see that. I also think Unfriended really changed the game with found footage. I'm just playing.
I do like Unfriended, though. Fuck you. Oh. I like it a lot. The second one I didn't like. But have you seen Searching? That's another good one.
No, that I haven't seen.
It's good. But I think maybe that's what it is that it hasn't been found yet. But I think that making scary movies just differently is such an interesting thing. Because I wonder, too, whenever different kinds of horror films were made before Blair Witch came out, if people were, like, kind of how we are, where we're like, what else can you do? So there must be something. Maybe virtual reality is the next thing. Because I think somebody was telling me about the games that they play with their virtual, like, headset or whatever you call it. And that some people are starting to make movies with them.
Oh my gosh. Have you... That episode of Black Mirror, have you seen that?
Which one?
The like it perfectly describes what we're talking about, like the what you're talking about, the VR horror game that's like it feels real. It's an
Striking
episode
Vipers?
of
The one with the two guys?
no. It's an earlier season. It's a taller dude. He's blonde and he looks like a surfer. He has longer hair.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that one. That one's pretty scary.
See, yeah, stuff like that. I don't think I could get into.
Yeah, I don't know. There's I think there's a lot of like redefining genres as well. But like with, I hate to do this, but in my film analysis course,
Oh God,
we talked a lot about Get Out and how just a lot of critics were like, "This isn't horror. This is more of like a like." It was just a lot of discussion on how you classify Get Out, and we posed this argument, and a paper that I wrote was on whether or not, or on just how critics received it, and one of the critiques is that Get Out is a modern slasher, or it's like a commentary on the slasher genre.
oh, interesting.
Yeah, I don't really want to get into that because that's a whole can of worms. But I think
I do like the conversation of like what is a horror film. My speaking again of my friend Avital, she has a podcast where they talk about horror films called He's Right Behind You, and they get into this conversation sometimes where she hosts with her friend Jessica, and she thinks that like everything is a horror film. But I like listening to what other people think, because there's some movies where I'm like, there are horror aspects of it, but I would have never thought of it as like a horror film, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that is interesting though, changing the boundaries of what I think Hereditary is a film that, or Ari Aster as a director in general does a lot of that, changing what a horror film can be. Or even his name Robert Eggers, the director of The Witch. Like I don't know, The Witch is, to me, it's pretty clearly a horror film, but The Lighthouse, when I saw it was stretching a lot of things, you know.
Yeah,
where
it's hard
to me it's still
that.
a horror, but it was so many other things. So maybe that's what the next trend is. But I also am a big fan of movies just not being delegated to specific, like you have to be a drama and that's it, you know. I do like a little bit of nuance. So
yeah.
All right, well, let's get into the movie. We start with a guy opening a box and there's a camera in it. But like in the first movie, we see him, so you can tell really clearly that he doesn't know there's a camera in whatever he's looking at. And at first, I thought, so I haven't seen this movie in a long time, but I thought it was a mask. Like, I thought it was the Peach Fuzz mask at first.
Yeah, I thought so too.
But like in the first movie, we see him looking at a video. We can't see the video, but we can hear whistling. And but I love the aspect that we can't actually see, and we never see what he's looking at. Mm-hmm. And we just hear the fucking creepy ass whistle. And then we hear a knock at his door. And for some reason he answers it. And it's Mark Duplass, which I also didn't remember. And I was so confused, and I was like, oh, of course, he's lying to him. Because I think there's so many things about this movie that I love, but I think this is a good blueprint of what a sequel should be. Like, exactly what a sequel should accomplish is what this movie does. Because I feel like some other filmmakers have the tendency to kind of stuff like previously on Creep, you know, like they try to stuff a really small summary of what happened in the first one, but with a really lazy like exposition or dialogue, you know.
But it's a real continuation.
Yes. And you can already tell, because the fact that he is lying to this guy and the guy has no clue that it's actually him, shows you that he doesn't do the same thing with each guy. Because when we're at this point with, who was the first guy, Aaron? We're at this point with Aaron back in the first movie. When he's sending him videos and stuff, he knows that it's Mark Duplass's character. So it's like flipped in this one, which I fucking love. And what also makes this scene so scary, because if you were just watching it and didn't know the first one, it's just a strange scene. But what makes it so scary is that we know, the audience knows who his character is, and we know exactly what he's going to do. And we also understand the significance of the stuffed wolf without him like explaining it to us, you know? Because I think he mentions at this part where he's like, yeah, you just sent me a stuffed wolf, and I was like, oh fuck.
Get out, dude, get out.
But that's the mark of such a good storyteller, that you don't have to explain everything that's happening, you know? You trust that they trust that the audience has already seen the first one and is already a fan of the first one, so we move on to the next one. So there's no need to explain what's happening here, you know?
Honestly, I think you could watch this one and not necessarily have watched the first one to I mean, you'll miss out on some details, but the overall gist you'll get. Yeah,
but I think it's at least helpful to like know.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But yeah, and then so the guy gets up to get them a beer, and when he does, the way that Mark Duplass smiles at the camera
and waves
is so creepy. I'm gonna say creepy so many times.
That's so funny. That's exactly what we said during the last episode. It's like,
oh, because that's like literally the only way to explain it. But another funny thing to me was when they were sitting down together at his table and they're talking about the way that they met, and he's like, well, did you think it was a coincidence that we had the same copy of Infinite Jest? Have you seen Infinite Jest or like know the meme about it?
I have no idea.
So it's like a big ass book that I think it's just a meme of like guys that are trying to make it seem like they're like they're knowledgeable or they're smart or whatever. So
yeah, that just comes natural to me. I don't have to read a book, you know?
Yeah. Got it. So then he breaks it to him that he's the stalker, and he kind of lays it out to him as a little bit of an asshole where he's like, do you think it's a coincidence that I came into your life whenever this weird shit started happening? And also, look at me. I'm creepy as hell. But I also love that he like says how old he is, where he's like, dude, he says he's 39, right? And
yeah.
You can already tell the like seedling of the fact that he's going through a midlife crisis, which is so fucking funny to me.
Yeah.
And then he kills him.
Oh my gosh. The guy he kills is from Deadpool. He's the cab driver.
He's in a lot of things, I think.
It just clicked.
Oh my god. So he kills him, and then we move on to Sarah, which is the new person in this scenario. And we see her web show named Encounters. So basically, she answers weird ads on, I think, Craigslist or whatever. She just answers a bunch of weird ads and records everything that happens. And to me, I think it's actually an interesting concept. I don't know if I'd watch it because it's so cringy that I think it would hurt to watch it.
Yeah, it's too cringy. You're like we're watching her, I don't know, like trailer or latest episode where she it's like 3 ads. The first one, I don't really know what it was. This dude just created like auras or spirits or something.
Yeah, somebody just wanted somebody to talk to. And one interesting thing that I wonder if they did it on purpose and why, but all of the subjects that she interviewed were men. So that was interesting. And then we cut to her. So we're basically watching the video with her, and she turns the camera to her and is just complaining basically about how nobody watches her show because it sucks. And I put feels too close to home for me. But And I said, honestly, that's probably the real horror of this movie, to be frank.
We
yeah,
are Sarah.
So she's filming the finale, and because she's just kind of done with she wants to make something amazing, but it's not really working out for her. So she wants to make the finale amazing, and she found an ad that's asking for a videographer, and then we have she decides to text the person with the ad, and we have this iPhone shot, which I wanted to bring to light because it has a lot of things that I really appreciate about this scene with this iPhone. For one, it's a real screen, and we've talked about this before, but I fucking hate when we show, like, everybody in the fucking world knows what an iPhone screen looks like, and some of these movies just try to, like, change it up, or it just is so strange to me what they do.
We talked about it pretty much a year ago today with Stuber.
Yes.
Because the Uber, like the rating system, like, and also I really liked it because she goes back and forth because the person who's on the other end of the phone, who, I mean, it's pretty obvious to the audience that it's Aaron, or well, he's going by Aaron.
Yeah,
we didn't really say that.
I think I have a note on it, but you can.
Yeah, so he's going by Aaron, his latest victim, or his last victim, before the other guy in the intro, and he asks for her name, and I really like that they go through, because in other movies it's like people know exactly what they're gonna text, and this one felt more real because sometimes, like, they'll send the character will send a message and be like, no, and they'll, like, just delete the entire message, or it's just way too obvious that it feels so forced. But this one, it felt real that she was really choosing whether or not she was going to tell this person her name, her real name.
And what I love too, so I appreciate a couple of things. Like we said, the real screen. There's also a part where she's typing to him. I don't know what they're typing exactly. I don't remember, but she's about to type, but she sees like the bubbles of him typing, and she stops.
Yeah.
And that was just so, like, that's another mark of them not not having a script, because that's such a natural thing to do. Is to, if I'm typing, like if I'm texting you, for example, and I'm like asking you something about the podcast, and I have another thought, but then you start to text back, I'm gonna stop. Like, that's just so natural. Another thing is that her phone is at 100%.
And it's charging.
And it's still charging. Which is such a me thing. And I think like Sebastian hates that I do that because he's like, you're going to fry your battery. And also, he answers very fast, which I love. I'm also a fast, like, I reply pretty fast. Well, sometimes I just, like, forget. But if I reply to you, I reply really fast. Another thing too, so during this text message, he asked if she scares easily, and she says no, and he said, let's meet. Because I think that's when she says no, and then she's about to say something else, but then he's, like, texting again. But red flag number one. But another thing I do love about this movie is how perfectly it creates the situations that are hard for us, the audience, to rationalize ourselves out of. Because it's so easy to be like, why the fuck is she doing this? And I think the writers know that that's the first question we're going to ask. Like, why would she do this? He's asking, do you scare easily? There's red flag city at this point, you know? But the answer that they're giving us with her actions and with, like, setting her up as a character is that she's desperate to feel talented. She's desperate to make her show feel like something that matters. And honestly, it's something that I can very much relate to, the fact that she's so desperate to make something great, and this feels like the only option that she has. And I mean, it's still dumb, obviously, she shouldn't have done it, but, like, who are we to say that she wasn't right in thinking that this was, like, the perfect way to elevate her art, you know?
I think she was committed to the bit, and I really understand that.
Yeah, so that's like, I understand that people, I don't know, I feel like there's a lot of movies where I'm like, why would you do that? And it's so not convincing to me, the reason that that the filmmakers give us, you know? But this one just, it feels super convincing, and it feels very realistic.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's just one thing I love about this movie. I also love that he greets her by just starting up his blender. And I laughed a ton in this movie. And that made me laugh so hard, where he just starting up a blender. And it also made me jump because it was so fucking loud.
Yeah.
And then this is when he introduces himself as Aaron, who is, like we said, the name of his last, well, not his last victim, but the victim of the last movie.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, because you would think that he would do this, like, every time he kills somebody, he just, like, takes their name. But he killed somebody between Aaron, you know? He killed that guy. So Aaron must have just meant a lot to him. I don't know.
Yeah.
Kind of.
He's his best friend.
Kind of cute, if you think about it. Yeah, and so exactly like the first movie, I think I've said it before, but Creep 2 only had an outline instead of a full script.
Ridiculous.
Which means oftentimes Mark Duplass and Desiree Akhavan, who is, sorry if I'm saying her name wrong, but she plays Sarah. So Aaron and Sarah would surprise each other with their choices. So this created the desired natural and spontaneous tone of the film, which I think is also genius, because it did make me feel really anxious, because I think we had the same anxiety that she did, or just that either of them did whenever they were filming, because you like have no idea what's going to happen or what they're going to say, you know?
Just the anticipation.
And we all, like, I think all of us kind of knew something bad was going to happen at the end. And so for them to have the outline and be like, so we know something bad's going to happen, but like, how do we get there? Mm-hmm. So genius. And so this is when he tells her straight up that he's a serial killer. And he says that he's killed 39 people, which I guess now that means one, like, for every year of his life. I didn't think about that. But yeah, he says that it's, quote, the greatest job in the world, which is an interesting way to describe it. But he also talks about how he's basically, like I said before, he's having a midlife crisis, which is a very interesting dilemma to give a serial killer. I don't know if I've ever seen this before. I mean, sound off in the comments if this is something that's been done before, but this is the first time I've seen this kind of dilemma in a villain, you know, or a serial killer.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think.
Just the aspect of him saying that he's lost his love of his job and how it's become work. And it's so funny to give such a horrendous person such a relatable feeling.
Yeah, I just lost the passion.
And so he's saying that he wants to change things up. He wants to make a documentary with her, where he can offer her two things. First is that he won't kill her within the next 24 hours, which is pretty generous. Second, that he will give her a deep look into his mind, and together they will make magic. He gave her an offer she couldn't refuse.
It's very hard to.
And so she said she's down. And this part, he shows her the ending of the first movie. So we see again where he kills Aaron with the axe. And I love the framing of this scene. The fact that the TV is like in the corner and he's like framed where he's watching it is like on the corner of the screen. I'm not describing this well, but so good.
Yeah, he's on like the left third.
Yeah.
And he like whistles the same Peach Fuzz like song, and he says like, because she's asking him questions, he's like, shh, good things come to those who wait.
He's so creepy. So he looks to the camera to see if she's scared. And then like after he shows her that, I think he's very one thing, like a main thing that goes throughout this movie is that she just doesn't give him any sort of reaction that he wants, which I love. And so he leaves and then he comes back in a towel and I'm like, oh God. And he says he wants them to break down the wall of wondering what each of them looks like naked. Which truly, he says that, but like he says that like once you're with somebody, you're in a room with somebody that's, how did he say it?
He was just saying that like.
So there's like a wall. He describes it as a wall where there's a wall, and the wall is that they both are wondering what they look like naked.
And in order to make that connection spiritually, they need to see each other naked.
They need to tear that wall down. And honestly, I completely forgot about this part. And so
I did too.
When he drops the towel and just is fucking naked, and the way he was standing with one leg bent killed me. It was so fucking funny. I can't imagine filming that and not laughing. And that's kind of like mean, because I'm not laughing at him being naked, but like the way he was standing.
The way he's standing. It's like almost like a Chris Angel, like he should have been levitating. Mind freak.
And then but it's funny, this next part is so funny to me because he's like, so are we good? And she's like, yeah. Is it my turn? And he's like, what? Like he just didn't expect her to get naked, and it was very, very funny. And so she gets naked, and there was something that I noticed about these two instances of them both getting naked, where so when either of them is standing up in front of each other getting naked, the other one is holding the camera. When we see him get naked, we see the full thing. Like she frames his entire body. But when she gets naked, he zooms in on just her face. So we see a little bit of her body, but we are focused just on her face.
Maybe that's all he cared about. That. Yeah, I did. I didn't.
Yeah, I was just wondering what the intent of that was. But I guess that is kind of like that. I guess it does tell us maybe he's telling the truth because he's just interested in the connection rather than what she looks like. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like it was for that purpose.
So after that, she leaves to the bathroom. She does an amazing job of keeping herself composed throughout this whole thing. But then she leaves to the bathroom and she has a little freak out, which is totally relatable after everything that just these first few minutes that she's been with him, just all the shit that she's seen.
Here's a question for you that you asked me episode 2 with Creep. At what point would you have left?
Ooh.
Provided you're in the same situation, because we talked about like we both probably wouldn't be in this situation to be going there, but if you were her, when would you have left? For me, you go.
Oh no, you go first.
It definitely would have been when I saw the video of him murdering someone.
Yeah, that, and then if he came out in a towel, I'd be like, yeah, I'm not comfortable with this. Because I think how I would think about it, like on self-defense mode, is I wouldn't say anything after the video because I would be scared that it was just a whole ploy for me to watch it and like for him to sadistically like see me scared and then kill me. So I would I think I'd be like how she was. I'd just be stoic. But then once he wanted to get naked, I'd be like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not comfortable with that. This is where I draw the line, and then leave. Like try to make it not a big deal and be like, oh no, this is the part that like is uncomfortable for me.
I think he even gives her an out, right? He's like, you can go, you can take the money.
Yeah. I would have been gone before then though, I think. But yeah, who's to say? But I feel like that's what I would have done, but I don't know. Good question. But yeah, so at this point she's in the restroom debating out loud if she should stay. Part of me was like, why are you saying this out loud? Because he can definitely hear you, but whatever. But she decides that she's going to stay. But then she's like, I'm not a fucking idiot. Well, she said she doesn't actually believe him, which I think part of me, I feel like I would also not believe him because it's such a strange thing to want to document and to show people. But But yeah, she's like, I'm not a fucking idiot. I have a knife, and she shows it. But I did, because this is actually a scenario that some people have gone through. I did another, not deep dive, but I did another like aside into internet homicide is what it's called. So it refers to killing in which victim and perpetrator met online, in some cases having known each other previously only through the internet. An internet killer is an appellation, I think that's what you say, found in media reports for a person who broadcasts the crime of murder online or who murders a victim they met online. Depending on the venue used, other terms used in media are internet chat room killer, Craigslist killer, Facebook serial killer, whatnot. And if you're wondering, Livia, how do I stay safe on Craigslist? Because Craigslist is still a thing. I think that's what they used in the movie, and it's still very much a thing that people use. So I have a couple of tips from Thrasher for people that are still wanting to use Craigslist, because like there's no shame. If you need to find a car, a sofa, whatever, I know it's hard to find shit that you need, so here's some tips on how to be safe. So when acting as a buyer or a seller, be sure to use a cell phone so your number cannot be traced to your home address. Or to, I guess, look at, because I think it's different now with cell phones. I think it still can be tied to an address. So just to make sure, maybe like search yourself or search your number to see how easy it is to find your address, so you can make sure that you're not broadcasting that to people. When you meet someone in person, insist on meeting at a public location, so a local restaurant, a busy parking lot, or a gas station. And even better, bring a friend. Don't do it yourself. Or to let your friends and family know the time, location, and the nature of the meeting. Personally, I always share my location with a couple of friends at all times. I think you have my location. Sebastian does. A couple of my friends do. Just so I can like know. And that's actually a good tip too. I think I had you share your location with me whenever.
Yeah, we share locations.
But I had it. I usually have it so like if I'm going out with people or if they're visiting, instead of, some people forget to text me when they're home, so I just like have their location so I know that they got home. And I'm just paranoid, so yeah, so those are a couple of tips.
Good tips
on how to be safe. All right, so next, she comes out of the restroom and he jumps at her, and it scared me so much. So he does this a couple of times where he jumps out at her and it never scares her, but it scares me every single time.
The second one got me more so. I knew it was coming too, but it got me more so.
It's so loud is the thing. And I want to have a little fun fact. So Mark Duplass, so he messed up his beard while trimming it. So that's why there's that. They have like a whole thing about him saying that he has like a spot, like a visible spot in his beard. And I don't remember what excuse he gave. But yes, but so the actual actor is the one who messed it up himself, but they just invented that explanation because of that.
And they talk about it more in another part of the movie.
I think he said, I forgot what excuse he gave, but yeah.
He just said it was like a dead, or not a dead spot, but it just is patchy.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was. And when she pans to him in the mask, I think he's like sitting down or something, and he's wearing the mask. I also laughed out loud a lot. Oh no, they're driving. Is that what it was? Yeah, they're driving, and she's shooting them driving, and then she like turns and he's wearing the mask. I forgot how funny that movie was. And then they get to the place and he's just like so upset. He's pressed because the water is completely gone. And he's such a fucking diva. He's so dramatic. And then he like gets upset about the bird. That whole scene of the bird being really loud. Oh my God.
I want you to do it. Do it again.
Oh my God, that's me. That's me talking to Ari. That's me when I'm trying to eat and Ari keeps coming on the table and I look at him, I'm like, I dare you to come on this table right now.
Damn.
Oh, so funny. But so then he freaks out and she's trying to find him and he's just planking on the floor.
Yeah.
So strange. And then she holds his hand. It's a very sweet little moment. Then we're back at the house. And Aaron will not talk because he's mad and he's still throwing a little temper tantrum. And then he's in the hot tub. But it's like it's a hot tub, but there's no, it looks cold as hell. There's no jets or anything going on it. It's just like still water. And he's telling her to leave, and I'm like, girl, please fucking leave, because he's just so upset. I have another question for you. I don't think it's that deep, but if you were sad and sitting in a cold hot tub, what song would you be blasting? Because he's blasting a song right now that's his favorite song in the world. What song would you play?
Oh, what's the name of it? It's in Hellboy 2, but it's like, you know I can't smile. Can't Smile Without You. Barry Manilow. It came to me.
It's a good one. I feel like I would blast like a Frank Ocean song.
Oh.
Especially if I'm sad.
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments.
In the Discord.
What's your cold hot tub mood? # cold hot tub mood.
Cold hot tub mood.
So he's telling her some story. This part, it was kind of, it felt like they were trying to recreate the whole scene from the last movie where he's talking about like that weird thing with his wife. And this one, I don't know if it worked for me. It was kind of interesting where he was talking about what he does with the people he kills, where, he mentioned that some guy was going to bury him alive.
He talked about his first kill.
Yeah, exactly. And so he got away and he killed the man with his bare hands. And that's when I was like, well, I guess that's his origin story. And yeah, I don't know. I didn't really have much notes about that whole scene. I think he does talk about how whenever he kills somebody, he lays with them naked. I think this was the scene where he talks about that.
Yeah, he talks about that, and that's he claims that is where his beard is patchy.
Oh,
because
yeah.
That guy had some weird condition where his hair just wouldn't grow, and then each one of his victims, he takes something from them, and that's what he took from that guy.
And like with Aaron, he took his name, and
yeah,
and that's when he says he that was something that he had and he loved, but he lost it, and that's why he's sad. And then
I can't.
Oh my god! Please stop. I can't wait for you to hear that back.
It'll be cut. It'll just be silence.
Cut in the actual song. So she goes into the tub with him and starts massaging him, and it's very weird. And I said that it made me feel like I'm witnessing something that I shouldn't.
Yeah, I felt weird.
It was kind of an intimate moment that I shouldn't be a part of.
I felt how she felt, I think, because she was like, I'm gonna go shower now. That's how I felt.
Oh, yeah.
Like I need to shower.
Exactly. So after that, now we're with Aaron. What? Oh, so I was like, what is this note? So she leaves, and I guess she leaves the camera, and he picks up a knife. He has the camera with him, and he's like picking up a knife, and he's talking about how he has to kill her because she's making him feel a lot of things. So he goes to the shower, and he tries to scare her, but she's not in there like she said she would be, and she actually scares him.
It's like a good scare.
Oh, yeah. And because she like taped up her face and looks fucking weird. Then after
and then they just scream together, and then it cuts.
Yeah. And then they're playing hide and seek. It's very cute. And then at about 50 minutes, Aaron is playing pool. And behind him, there's a mural of a castle behind him. And this castle name, it's called Neuschwanstein, maybe, castle? And it's in South Bavaria, Germany. It's a 19th century Romanesque revival palace on a rugged hill above the village of... Not saying that name. It's in Bavaria, Germany. The palace was commissioned by King Ludwig II of Bavaria as a retreat in honor of Richard Wagner. Ludwig paid for the palace out of his personal fortune and by means of his excessive borrowing, rather than Bavarian public funds. The castle was intended as a home for the king until he died in 1886. It was opened to the public shortly after his death, and since then, more than 61 million people 61 million people have visited the castle. More than 1.3 million people visit annually, and with as many as 6,000 per day in the summer. It makes me think, I wonder if we've been there.
What's the importance of this castle?
I don't know. That's what I was trying to look up. Like, I was wondering if there was, but I couldn't. All I found was the history, which I thought was kind of interesting, but I think it might just have been a feature of the actual house that they used. Weird. I can picture them just like renting that house and finding that pool room and thinking it just looked cool.
Probably.
But I was trying to find some significance, but maybe there's a history person that loves German castles that would like that little tidbit. Well, we also lived in Germany. I think we talked about this before. We lived in Germany for 4 years, but I don't know if we've been to Bavaria, though. I guess that's a question for Mom and Dad.
I'll ask after this.
But there are tons of castles in Germany. I know we've been to a few, but yeah. Alrighty. So they approach... What? Oh, so they talk about the whole part of him saying that he wouldn't kill her. And he said, like, I promised you I wouldn't kill you. And she reminds him that he said, I wouldn't kill you within the next 24 hours. And he was like, now why would you bring that up? That'll only get you in trouble.
God, so hard cut after that.
And so this is when he also tells her that he knows about her show, that he's not dumb. He did a little research. And he also knows about the knife in her boot. And he asks if she believes that he's a serial killer, and she says no. And she says because his stories are ridiculous, and a real killer basically just wouldn't let anybody know. Which, valid. I mean, that's what I would think, too.
Yeah. And she also says, like... Oh. Sorry. She also says, like, why would you tell me? I could just go to the police.
Yeah.
And then that's when he's like, well, you can go, but I'll be dead.
He said, well, that's a moot point because tomorrow I'll be dead.
Yeah.
Because he says that she's going to kill him. And he said he knows that she's going to do it because she'll do anything to make great art. And I like that he understands that of her.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can tell he's a terrible person, but he has a good read on people, basically.
Yeah.
So first he says he wants her to kill him with the axe. She doesn't want to, and now he's like trying to hang himself because he's trying to get around her actually having to do it so that she doesn't help him. But obviously she does, and it snaps, and she's like really freaked out. She wants to leave. And he shows her a harness that he used to fake it. But I wonder, like, basically like in the movie The Lodge, which we've also done. But I'm wondering, do you think that was real? Do you think he actually used the harness? I don't think he did.
There's no way he used the harness. Because even when you see it, like when the camera shows that he grabs it. He grabs it from like a closet or some stairs.
Yeah.
He just grabs it. It doesn't look like that's not where it would have been. She would have noticed on his body. Yeah.
Exactly. And we as the audience know him, and we know that he's very serious. But yes, but he does anything he can to try to get her to stay. He says that he likes her a lot, so he wanted to give her the best episode of her show. And she's getting very emotional about it, and I'm like, oh fuck, she's gonna fucking stay. He says
what she needs to hear.
Yeah, and because he tells her, I'm not a murderer, which we know is not true. And that's the moment I knew he was gonna kill her.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but and then they have this weird moment in the pool room where he tells her that he's never had sex with a woman before, and he's also never been kissed. And the way he says it, you know that movie Never Been Kissed? Well, I could have written and directed it. So she kisses him. One thing is, I don't believe him. I don't think that's true. Or maybe it is. I don't know. I think it's hard to tell.
I think it's cool that, not that he's never kissed someone, but that
The verge.
that you can't really tell.
Yeah.
You don't know what is real because he's just a pathological liar, and he's a madman.
Mm-hmm.
So
exactly.
I don't know. I think it's probably true.
Maybe. I don't know.
But also, I could see him lying just to get her, to gain her trust a little bit.
Yeah. Or like instead of, or maybe that's the only way he thinks he can, maybe he does want to kiss her and that's the only way he thinks he can get her to kiss him, by like feeling bad for him.
Yeah, maybe.
Because that's what he did with Aaron. I mean, he made up this whole thing about him dying so that Aaron could feel bad for him.
That's true.
So it wouldn't be far from the norm from like how he interacts with people to lie to make them feel bad for him.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're in the woods and he wants to make the climax of her show, which already I knew could not be good. And he gives her the locket that he gave the original Aaron, and he brings her to a ditch.
And she's like, what?
I know. But yeah, so he said he dug it before she got there, but he didn't know at that point who he was digging it for. And now he said now he knows, and he has her knife. And he starts stabbing himself. And he says, "We're going to kill ourselves and we're going to lie in that grave together."
Ooh.
And she runs away, obviously. I mean, what well, what does he think is going to happen? But then they like chase each other and we hear like some sort of struggle happening. We don't know exactly what is going on. Then we cut to him dragging her into the grave. Then he's crawling to the camera. He's saying that now he doesn't want to die.
That she gave him what he was missing, what he felt like he was what was gone.
Yeah.
It's back. He got his mojo back.
But then she crawls out of the ditch and
whacks him.
Knocks him the fuck out.
I watched it a couple times and it's pretty smooth, the edit.
Yeah.
It's a little janky, but it's if you're not, I mean, it probably just because I watched it like honestly like 10 times.
But yeah, no, it was, and it made me like jump a little bit because it looked really real. Yeah. So then after that, we cut to her just walking around the city, different hair, and so it looks like we're following her, and already I'm like, look, not a great setup. I don't know. It just feels creepy because I think we can already tell what's happening. But now we're on a bus and we're within eye line of her, and then suddenly we hear the fucking whistle, him whistling the song, and she sees, yes. And then she sees who's filming her. She looks up, and the eye contact at the end is so striking because you can see it. We only see her looking at us for like a few seconds, but just you can already see the recognition in her eye that she like knows who that is. Oh, so good.
And the camera drop, and then just the hard rock that plays after. It's a good ending. Both of these movies had Creep and Creep 2 had really, really good endings.
Perfect endings.
I know it's originally supposed to be a trequel. Wow.
Wow. Wow.
Trequel. Trequel. That's the third sequel, the trequel. It's supposed to be a trilogy, but I know, I think this might be on your fun facts, but Mark Duplass said that he would want to. He's expressed the interest of going into a prequel, into Joseph or Aaron's, the Creep, his backstory.
Which would be interesting. That actually was my only fun fact. So thanks for stealing it. But
You're welcome.
well, what do you think? Well, two questions. So first, what do you think would? Well, let's talk about what a prequel would look like.
I would want it to be his first kill.
Wasn't he too young? How old was he?
I don't know. Or maybe like, because there's a lot of tapes we saw in the ending of the first one. There's a lot of tapes that he's recorded. I think there's probably way more than 39.
I think it's 39. I think that's the only thing he hasn't lied about.
I'd want to know what's on those.
Also, because we did in the first one, I kind of forgot about it, but we did get a glimpse of his life because I think, didn't Aaron talk to his sister?
Yeah, because yeah.
And she told him to like leave or something.
Like
So
to get out now.
Yeah, so that would be interesting because they kind of did set that up. So that's probably why they included that, because they did want the potential of a prequel. I don't know what I would want it to look like. That would be interesting to see. But now let's talk about the trequel.
Yeah.
The third one. What do you think they should do with the third one? Because I love these movies very much, but I still get nervous whenever I hear filmmakers, even a prequel, but for like a third one, I also still, even though this movie is good, and obviously with the second one, they've shown that they can handle making a sequel and making it add on to the second or the first movie rather than take away from it. But I don't know, it still makes me nervous. I still don't want them to touch it because I feel like these two movies are perfect. And I don't know what they could do with the third one.
If they do a third one, I would want a similar fashion of this one where they kind of, I don't know, because it's interesting because in the first one, Aaron's dead. He's gone. His story is over and we move on from that. But Sarah's story is not over. But I kind of like the way it ends.
Part of me wants, so these two times he wants like a videographer, like he specifically asks for a videographer. So I wonder if he will move on to him being the videographer and we get to see it from his perspective.
That would be interesting.
That's the only way I can see them doing it. I don't know what else.
Maybe he like forces her to record for him.
I think their storyline is done. I don't want to see her in the next one. Like, I like her a lot. I like her character and I like the actor a lot. But I feel like that is what works with this movie, is that they don't bring in Aaron again. They bring him in the sake of like him having his name and showing the movie or like the video he made. But like, I don't want anything else from her.
That'd be good from his perspective. I'm interested because they don't really go into his like planning. I'm sure there's some planning. So that'd be interesting, and it'd be funny if like he introduced like a wife to Peach Fuzz and the wife's name was Sarah or something.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what he brings from her.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall,
maybe it is the videography.
Maybe. But overall, love it. I love this movie. I think it's the perfect way. It's the only way to make it. Not the only way, but it's the perfect way to make a sequel.
It's good.
Super, super good. I loved it. Let us know what you thought. I don't think we gave our handles, which we're very bad at doing, but you can follow us on Instagram at Brother Sister Show and Twitter at Bro Sis Show. Both of those bios have links where you can listen to us on whatever. I mean, you kind of are past that if you're listening to this now, but you can also join our Discord, which is just a fun little community where we just talk about literally anything. The other day, Kayla and I were just going on a rant about sofas. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I missed it. I was working.
But Yeah, talk about furniture. Somebody was talking about Scooby-Doo the other day, talking about music. But most importantly, we're going to have movie nights.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to stream more on it. Mm-hmm. We're getting close to 1,000 downloads all time.
How much do we have?
937. I just looked.
I wonder after this one if we'll have 1,000.
Maybe. We normally get around 20, 30 downloads. Very surprising that we have not way more, but we have more downloads on Apple Podcasts. I really thought Spotify would be popping, but Apple Podcasts we have 523 downloads, which is almost 56% of our downloads.
That's where I listen to all my podcasts.
And our top episode, if you had to guess, our top episode.
Stuber. That's always how it is with the first one.
What do you think number 2 is? Well, we'll just do 3.
Top 3?
What's 2 and
3? 2, let's go Hereditary.
No, that is number 8. Hereditary is
number 8. 2 Social Network.
No, Social Network is not even here. The one that is both of our favorites, not even close.
Oh, what is it?
Number 2, episode 15, Booksmart.
Okay.
Episode 3, episode 5, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
I don't even remember us doing Booksmart. All right.
Kayla was on that episode?
I think so.
Wow. Oh, no, Kayla was on 8th grade. 8th grade.
Oh, yeah.
That's number 4. Shout out to Kayla. That's the only one with a guest.
Oh, on our top 4? What's 5? Just give us number 5.
Simpsons.
Interesting. I would have never guessed these. Wow. Very interesting. All right, so my pick is next.
Yes.
And I feel like you do a good job of giving us the popular ones. You'll do popular movies that get, I think all of those that are the top ones are your picks, which is kind of annoying, but it's fine.
It is.
But I'm going to continue on my picks of movies that nobody's ever fucking heard of. But I think this is a good one because I guarantee you don't know anything about this movie. And I don't know anything about this movie. I just know whenever it came on Amazon Prime, a lot of people that I follow, a lot of critics were talking about it and saying that it's really, really good. So I'm excited. And I think it's the director's first film. So interesting.
Go for it.
So it's called The Vast of Night.
Yeah, never heard of this.
On Prime. Let me see if I can get a little synopsis. The Vast of Night. Da-da-da. In the 1950s, 2 children search for a source of a mysterious frequency that has descended on their town.
Ah.
It's like a sci-fi, I think, kind of movie.
I like sci-fi.
Came out 26th of January, 2019. What?
Exciting.
Oh, I think it recently, so it was in the film festival circuit, but I think it recently came to Amazon Prime, which is why everybody's talking about it. But yeah, The Vast of Night on Amazon Prime, and we'll talk about it next week.
Awesome.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for an amazing year. Let's do another great year.
Tell your friends. Rate us on Apple Podcasts. Shout it from your nearest roof that oversees a large city.
Oh, yeah. Rate us on Apple Podcast. And I don't think we say that a lot either. That helps us with visibility. So please.
I just said it.
And I think you can just do the star rating, but if you write something, then we'll read it on the podcast.
Yeah, we said that episode 3, but yeah, we'll do that.
Well, we will. I forget, but we will. I promise. All right. Wear a mask. See you next time.
Bye.